Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. In today's exciting episode, we have a collections video. This is where I show you the first half of my floral jackets collection. There's a second volume too.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
It's February when I'm recording the voiceover, but I recorded this back in January, I think. So hopefully there will be no surprises in here. These pink flowers, spoiler alert, are now a jacket. So they'll be, I guess, in volume 3, because I made volume 1 and 2. And then I got sick of that box of flowers. I was going to leave it there. Well, anyway, I'll talk about these ones. So this is the first floral jacket that I ever made, the yellow one, the base jacket. So you obviously either have to go to a thrift store and buy a jacket that you then stitch all the flowers on, or you can make one. I used Vogue 7975 to make mine. And it's a slim fit jacket. So I personally, after I made this one, I then swapped to a sort of a jacket pattern that had a bit more ease. So it was a bit easier to wear, but I really like this one. I did sort of stick things down using 100 or 1,000 stitches, and now I'm sort of more confident and I just stitch each flower down with like a dozen stitches and just really strategic stitches. And yeah, so I think this one you can sort of see how each flower is stitched down, which I don't really like. I like a more natural, chaotic sort of look that looks like they've all sort of grown. They do sort of look like they've grown there. And after I finished it, it was just this big fluffy ball of yellow. So that's why it's got some variegated ivy in there as well. I was like, we'll just break this up a little bit. But originally it was just all flowers. So I think eventually, I won't pull it apart immediately. I've put it away again. But because I do really like it, but I just, yeah. Now that I know how to make a floral jacket, like just only use like a dozen stitches on each flower sort of thing. I think I will probably make that one again eventually, but it's fine at the moment. I mean, I'm not going to run out of floral jackets to wear anytime soon. So after I finished that one, I was making, because I've got loads of sewing patterns that I was just making mock-ups of, and I tried this one. They didn't have a size 6 is my standard size, but size 8 was a smaller size here. So it's a little bit sort of frumpy on my mannequin. The mannequin is my size, so it's, I don't know, it's the shoulders are a bit big and I've got very, very small shoulders. So I was like, oh, well, I don't really like it as a jacket, so I'll use it as a base for the goodness. I haven't looked at this footage in a while. This jacket is so epically bad. So the dahlia flowers, the big red ones, they're just so big. And I just sort of sometimes forget how like tiny my shoulders are, because I don't spend a whole lot of my life staring at mirrors. And like I do look at fashion because I've got Instagram accounts that are fashion ones. I post flowers that are floral dresses and dresses with floral prints and floral jackets and things like that. And they're always on models who are the size of rugby players. They're really big people. So I sort of just forget how tiny I am and how tiny my jackets are. So yeah, when I made it, I was like, wow, these dahlias are just way too big. So I ended up pulling this one apart, the spoiler alert, and I remake it. You'll see them later on. See, I remake them on that red faux leather jacket there. I did that last year. But yeah, the second ever floral jacket that I attempted to make but didn't finish was this red one, and it failed dismally. It was just so not good. Because I was still sort of stitching down each flower with like 100 stitches and some seed beads, and it was too much. Wow, it was not the greatest idea to go in chronological order. So we have 2 more failed jackets. I promise we get to the successful ones in a minute. But next up we have the I think we have the original, my I went through a year where I had started the year with a movie per month, and January was Desperately Seeking Susan. And right at the beginning of that movie, Susan, the Madonna, the actor plays this character Susan, and she's in a hotel room with this guy, and she steals some really expensive Egyptian earrings off him. But anyway, she gets room service, and there's an apricot flower on the, like, in a vase on the tray, and I was like, I've got apricot flowers, I will make that as part of my capsule collection for that month for the Desperately Seeking Susan. Very, very vaguely related, but anyway. And then I made the apricot flowers, and I also had some strawberries. I'm like, I'll add strawberries. So it's kind of apricot flowers. I like it, but yeah, this one I kind of went too chaotic. I do like how I stitched the flowers on with like without stitching down every single petal on some of them. Some of them, the Gerber daisies, I did stitch them down too much, but some of the other ones are quite well done. So I was getting better at attaching flowers, but also the neon yellow strawberries, and like there's a mix of sequin flowers in there and these big green bows that look like the bow in Minnie Mouse's hair. So it was kind of really random. I was like, I like it, but yeah. Also, I don't know, I felt like the weight was kind of not distributed well, because those strawberries, they're like little kids' pendants of strawberries. They're solid plastic or resin or whatever, so they're quite heavy, and there were 40 of them. So I was like, oh, I'll maybe pull that one apart. And then so it was kind of finished, but it didn't have the lining done. So the next one that I made I was happy with it at the time, but yeah. And then the next one I made, tried to make, was this wine coloured one. I don't know, the actual jacket has a scoop neck, which, I don't know, it just did not suit it. And then I used sort of grey, some purple flowers that have grey undertones, and some that have blue undertones, and some that have red. I really hate the back. And I just sort of mixed everything, and I tried to use up the stuff that I didn't really like all in one jacket. And it was not a good look. So then I pulled them apart, and up on the top, that box there, is all the wine coloured flowers. And I ended up using them on 2 different jackets, I think. And I really, really like both of those. So we'll see them later on. But yeah, this is me showing you how I organised it. Oh yeah, I ended up pulling it apart. So yes, I did end up making them into 2 separate jackets. Eventually, when I get round to it, there will be a floral jackets playlist, and yeah, the floral commerie one will be in that, where I got out all my flowers and commeried them, and I stuck them on those mannequins. And that's my box hedge in the corner, because it's a hedge and it's in a box. So yeah, I kind of just amuse myself, really. So the other jackets was those 2 jackets, and they were both, like, I like the apricot one with the strawberries. I thought that was good for a while, and as you can see, I remade it. But yeah. And then the next one, this isn't really a floral jacket, but I end up pulling this one apart and remaking it as 2 other jackets. So that's why I'm showing it to you. This is my Barbie jacket, the original. I ended up making a Barbie 2.0, but this is flower-shaped beads. And so they're just plastic beads, and it's like a flower with a hole in the middle, and you put an anchor bead in it. And there's just like hundreds and hundreds of them. So what I did was just go round, and like I had more of some types, and other types were like more expensive, so I didn't have quite as many of those. So I went round and covered the whole jacket once, and then I put sort of clusters over the top, so it had sort of a canopy 3-dimensional look on it. But then what I did, I was like, oh, this is so much fun. So then I got out all my pink and red seed beads, and I did sort of wisteria hanging bits off it. And I got really carried away with that. So it was so heavy in the end. Like, I love it. I love the look of it. It was well, I sort of look at it now and I'm like, I could pull that apart and do it better, which is what I did. But yeah, at the time, I was really, really proud of it. And like some of my jackets, my technique improved so much when I was doing them. So they were a bit of a disaster, but they got me to where I am. So the next jacket is the last of the ones that I pulled apart, I think. This is the Autumn Harvest one. And I never finished this because I don't have any footage of it as green. But when it was green, just foliage, it looked absolutely adorable. And then I made the mistake of pinning all the orange and yellow flowers on, and I was like, yuck. I hate this. I hate this so much. This is not nice, because I think if I actually just did a floral collar on a jacket. I finished it today actually. I finished stitching the silk into it, and I used up all the sort of brownie coloured ones in like separate. And then I ended up using all the orange ones separate, and I used the yellow ones in a jacket you'll see, like with the apricot and pink ones. So yeah, you have to be really careful about which colours you mix together, in my opinion. I'm just really fussy about colours. But yeah, I was really disappointed with the Autumn Harvest one, because I was like, oh, this is going to look so good. I'm so much better at making things. And then I made it and I was like, oh, this does not look good. So it was a disappointment, but you learn stuff from everything you do. And I love the greenery on this one. So I think that's what made me really, really, really want to make those foliage jackets. And as you'll see, I've made 2 foliage jackets so far, but oh my goodness, I totally want to I've still got some more leaves left, so I definitely want to make another one. So that was the autumn jacket, and look how, I just cut it carefully, clipped everything off and removed the thread and reused everything on it. Oh, next up we have my first foliage jacket. This one is called the Forage Jacket, and originally it had when I made it, it had these heavy glass pearl beads on it. But then just at Christmas just passed in December, 2 months ago, I decided that I was sick of it. It was just really, really heavy. And so I carefully took off the green glass pearls and I replaced them with plastic pearls. So it's still got glass seed beads in between each of the glass pearls. This is the original one that I made, and it was beautiful. I really, really liked it, but it was just that little bit too heavy. I think if it had half as many pearls on it, then it would have been fine. But I don't know, I like how decadent it looks with this many pearls. And I also felt like the back, because working around the design feature on the back sort of meant that I had to clip some of the top ones shorter. And I also tried to do these long grass things over the sleeves, and they sort of worked, but the glass bugle beads, the giant glass bugle beads, are really, really heavy. So I was like, no. So that's how many glass pearls there were on there. Is a lot. And they're just like solid glass bead with this pearlized finish on them. So I carefully took them off again just recently and replaced them with the plastic pearls. I know plastic pearls are tacky. When I first started 10, 15 years ago, they did not get glass pearls looked way better than plastic pearls, but now they've finally got the finish on plastic pearls to look good in the last year or two. So yeah, I've bought a couple and I'm trying them out, and I think they look really good, especially in motion. You know how when it's a windy day and you're walking around botanical gardens or whatever, or just a park, and the leaves sort of flow in the wind. I just think they look so good. And yeah, this weight, because it's got the tiny heavy glass seed beads mixed with the big lightweight plastic pearls, it's just such a good combination. I really like it. And also I think I did a better job sort of making them hang down in organic drifts. So yeah, I really like this one. And it has a deep back, the jacket. I'm not sure if I like that because my t-shirts are sort of crew neck. Oops, that was me tripping over something. So, but yeah, I love the dangling down bits. They just look so good. So I'm very, very happy with this jacket. And I decided to go with the shorter sleeves because doing the underarm of a long sleeve jacket and the sides of a long sleeve jacket, doing the beading on those parts is just like so impossible. Plus, I've got loads of long sleeve tweed jackets with, so I just decided last year mainly, I was like, oh, I'm so sick of beating the sleeves of jackets. Anyway, so that was the greenery one. And then after that, I was like, okay, now we're going to do bright colors. So as I said, I pulled apart the Barbie jacket so the one in the back there is the flower shaped beads. And the one at the front is just that tragic red and hot pink and magenta flower jacket that I tried to make on the long sleeve one. With this, what I did was I took off the back 2 layers of petals for the dahlias and I folded those petals up and made them into separate dahlias. So I have still used all the flowers that were on that really, really bad one, but I've used them in different ways. So they just look like they look like a proportional size flower. So I did all the flowers and then there was nothing hanging down and it just sort of looked weird. So I tried hanging beads down and that didn't look good. So this is me just showing you how it was made. And that didn't look good. So then I took them off and I ended up hanging down that's when I took the Barbie jacket apart and I used the beads from that to make this. See, it does look kind of good with just flowers, but it's not really like if you're making a floral jacket, you might as well make it extra, it might as well be totally over the top. So that's why I ended up putting those vintage sort of big daisy flowers in there. And then at the bottom, I sort of hung down the bougainvillea on strings of seed beads, which the seed beads I pulled off the Barbie jacket when I pulled that apart. Oh, and there's some big sequins as well. But the big sequins, you can't really see them really. They're sort of in between the bougainvilleas, but the bougainvilleas, like all the flowers in this jacket are matte. There was no like shiny light and there was sort of nothing to catch your eye. So that's why I ended up putting in a few of those big disc sort of transparent red sequins in there, just so that, it just sort of, I don't know, it just seems more fun. So that's why I put those in there. And oh my gosh, I loved having all these floral jackets on my rack. I had them on there for months and months. I had them on there and I was like, okay, I'll film the collections video, but I kept just making other floral jackets and other floral jackets. It was ridiculous. Like in November, I think I made 6 floral jackets or something. They've just got floral collars. They're not totally covered. But anyway, so with the next jacket was a remake of the Barbie jacket. This is the original one, and I cut out all those sort of strings of tiny beads. They're glass seed beads, and they're really, really heavy. Well, not each individual bead is light, but when you use thousands upon thousands of them, they end up being really heavy. So when I remade it, I used tiny plastic beads that are 4mm. So they're the same size as a glass seed bead, but they're plastic, so they're much lighter, and also it's short sleeve. And then once I'd made the whole of this jacket, I did go through and add a few glass seed beads just to add little bits of weight here and there, but also just to give it a little bit of a glisten, because obviously glass is nice and shiny. So the back here, I think the back could be more successful. These beads, these longish solid plastic beads, are supposed to be look like seed pods, and I think they do, but I don't know. I think it's successful enough, but I think, I don't know. I've done more jackets since then. This is not even a year old, this jacket. I made it in the middle of last year, and it is much, much better than the original Barbie jacket. The technique used in it is much better. But I don't know. Every time I finish something, I'm like, right, if I remade it right now, it would be so much better, because you learn so much when you're making something or beading an entire jacket, because it's a big 3D object bead, relatively. Like most people who do beading just make a necklace with, 20, 30 beads or something. So this is a big beading project, and you do, because it's so big and complex, you do learn a lot. Anyway, so I made those 2 pink and red jackets, and then I decided that I was going to do, because last year my Make 9 had, one of the jackets was, I wanted an Edinburgh jacket, and Edinburgh Royal Botanic Gardens has this massive glass house. Well, they have a series of them, and they've been renovated, and at the end of last year they were finally starting to put all the palm trees back into the giant palm tree one, like these massive tall ones. And yeah, so I remember that they once had a coffee bean plant in there, and then I remembered that I had these beads that sort of look like vanilla beads and vanilla pods. So I was like, oh, okay, so this is my Edinburgh jacket for my Make 9 from last year, and the beads that I used to weigh that down, because you can't sort of just do foliage for a jacket. It's not heavy enough. It's like each of the leaves or the flowers are made out of these really light, flimsy fabric, so it's not heavy enough. So you do have to add some sort of weight in there somehow, which is why I've done the beading. Kind of went a little bit over top with the beading. I think, again, I might take these beads off, put them back on, but just half the amount of beads, maybe. But I think, yeah, I had to sort of put all of them on first. But now that I know how much weight is the perfect amount of weight, I think, yeah, eventually at some point I'll probably take those beads off and put them back on again. But it's also just fun to carefully cut out all the beads and redo them. It's fun to work on a jacket again. Anyway, after I did that foliage one, I decided that I was going to pull apart the autumn jacket that I showed you earlier and the apricot flower jacket that I showed you earlier, and use all the flowers in those to make this. So these 2 jackets, well, the apricot one on the left does have quite a lot of flowers in there, but it also has 40 of those strawberries, and it also has some flower sequins and some bows. So I took out the sequins, took out the bows, and I reused pretty much everything else. And yeah, I just had so much fun making this one. I had a little bit of trouble with the strawberries, because I was like, should I just hang them in, dot them in around like they used to be on the other one? But I ended up using, because this one has short sleeves, and I kind of wanted the sleeves to be a little bit longer than they are. And I kind of wanted the base of the jacket, or the bottom, the hem of the jacket, to also be a little bit longer as well. I ended up hanging them down there, and it's just so adorable. I love this so much. I've actually got some little apples as well, and some, yeah, so I think I might do another one, different type of fruit, but yeah. And there's all these animals on the back, so I had to stitch those on. Normally when I stitch on in the past, when I've used toys, I've stitched them on with invisible thread, like fishing wire, and it's such a nightmare to work with. I was like, I really don't want to, because it sort of stretches. It's nylon. It's just like this long thin bit of nylon, so it's got a bit of stretch in it. So it's like the mama bear. You can't have too much tension. You can't be too loose or the toy will just fall off. So I was like, I'm just going to use my standard, like normal brownish reddish thread. And that actually worked out really well, and you can't really see the thread, so I was quite happy with that. And I want to eventually do a jacket that has all toys all over it. So, because I've been collecting toys, tiny little like racing cars and animals and things from dollar stores for like a decade and a half. So I've got loads of them, but yeah, now that I actually know how to stitch them on properly, I will, yeah. So anyway, that's it for collection 1. That's it for all the jackets. I just showed you a sneak peek from volume 2, which is sort of more pastels. And also, as I said, it's not all of them aren't whole floral jackets. I sort of made floral collars for some of the jackets. So yeah, I love, like, it would be awesome to just make a whole collection of floral jackets, but I also want to mix it up a little bit, and I've got loads of tweed jackets that I've made over the years, because I've been making jackets for myself for 15 years, and sometimes I make it and I can't quite decide how to beat it. So there's a few of them that I've made, and over the years I've sort of set them aside because I could never decide what sort of beading to put on them. So I think this year I'll get those ones out, and 2026, and maybe make floral collars for them, because I don't have that many flowers left. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and happy sewing. And yeah, I hope you've been inspired to make yourself a fabulous floral jacket, or do some gardening. Or I've been making jackets since the end of 2009, so it's more like 17 years than 15. Goodness. Well, that explains why I have so many jackets. Anyway, that is it for this episode. Thanks again for watching, and happy sewing. Oh, and there'll be a link to the volume 2 collections video down below, and some other videos.